Oh, hey, YouTube people and Instagram people and all my friends all around. Thought today I would do a short lesson on a very important subject. Widely, it's thought of as dynamics. Specifically today, we're going to think about dynamics as it applies to solo guitar performance. And specifically the internal dynamic of the vertical event, which just means when you play a chord, being able to have greater control over the volume of the various notes that are in the chord. So if I play this, all those notes are kind of at the same volume, and maybe the top note stands out because we're used to hearing the top note. But if I want that note to be the melody, I might want to just give it a little bit more juice. Then the middle lines are a little less, maybe the bass is a little sooner than the melody. No, so I kind of move things around so that everybody can have their own place to arrive and then sing from there at their own volume. So we really have this system of the bass note has its own thing, its rhythm and its groove. And then the inside stuff, I'd say, and then above that I want the melody to sing. And it's a little bit of a balancing act. I think if we think about it too much, it gets convoluted. I was thinking about it a little too much there. But we can practice with awareness of this issue. I always tease a little bit. If we walked into a nice club somewhere and there's a piano player sitting there, you know, decked out and looking smooth, and they played, we wouldn't be very interested in them. You know, we expect good musicians to play with dynamics. If you went to an orchestra and all of the instruments were playing at the same volume all the time, you wouldn't be very interested in it, nor would it, maybe it might even make you uncomfortable. So we want to make sure we can develop that. So we have this idea of the melody has prominence, at least this is my idea. The melody has prominence because that's the thing that makes the song the song. The bass line is propelling the movement and the time and the groove. We don't use the melody to fill the time up. That's another thing that I hear, this sort of. And you know, if we heard a singer doing that, it wouldn't be very interesting. So we'll allow the melody to sing. And then all the other voices can be in accompaniment. Here we go. Now we can play fills when the melody comes to rest to sort of allow for flow. That's very, very good to do and helpful. Here we are standing on this G flat chord. Okay, and you can break things up, make it funky, make it swing, make it smooth, it can be rubato. There's all kinds of ways to do it, but none of those ways gets us off the hook for being able to control the volumes of the voices. Okay? So let's talk about, briefly, a way to work on that. And this is a little thing that I do with my students, and it's frustrating, and it's hard, and it's nearly impossible to do, but doing it really, really helps. So we're going to take a C major scale, just because it's familiar, and we're going to harmonize it into 7th chords. This is nothing new. If you know how to, if you're interested in solo guitar, you should know how to harmonize a scale. And this particular voicing is the real common drop 2 voicings that you probably learned, spelled 1, 5, 7, 3 in root position. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on something briefly here, because there's a bigger lesson, but briefly what we want to do is make the top note the loudest note of the 4. So play them all at once, but get that top note to sing out. And then we'll play the top note separately, and we'll play the bass note and the top note, and then the inside notes, just so we can find out what it feels like to separate them even further. Okay, and you notice I have a it's really, it makes it for some lovely sort of emotive effect. Okay, now here comes the hard part. Let's try and make the G string note the loudest note. And I say it's hard. I maybe even think it's next to impossible. But we can try, and by trying, we might get a little bit better at it, or we'll just become a little more aware of it. So we'll play the same thing, all 4 notes at once, but see how the top note is there, but it's just not very loud, and I can hear this middle note, that note, louder. Okay. I want to hear that one. I'm not really doing it. Okay. You might play it once with just the bottom 3 notes. To hear that note, so you can identify which note you're actually trying to draw out. Now you hear that note's there, but this note was louder. I'm doing that vibrato thing that some people love and some people hate, so I'll try not to do that. Hear it? Okay, let's try it again, and let's make the first finger note, which is on the D string, a little louder. Hear it? And I just put my mind on that finger, and I just try and bring it out a little bit. Hear it? You know, I'm not sure if through the airwaves of YouTube and stuff, whether or not this is going to come out as much as I hoped it would. But again, it's not really so much trying to perfect this as bringing awareness to your hand when you play. Now, our ears want to hear the top note. We just do. I always discovered that the top note's the easiest thing to hear. The bottom note is the next easiest thing to hear. The stuff in the middle is sometimes a little bit cloudy, you know. So what we do is we bring our attention to plucking with a thumb and 3 fingers and trying to generate different volumes with each finger. Now, an easier version of that is to play loud, soft, soft, loud. Okay. Again, not so much to perfect any particular version of that, but only to become increasingly aware of it as an important thing to try. Okay, so the internal dynamic of the vertical event, which is a fancy way of saying pay attention to how loud the voices in each chord are. and when they happen, because you can get a lot of interesting things to happen if you just displace a note. Make a note ever so slightly later. So on I Remember You, that's how it's written, but we might want to play it like this. Be sure to subscribe if you want to get these videos in your feed, and hit the like button. All those things help me, and you can check out my TrueFire courses, and you can also visit my website to see what's available there. Thanks for listening, and take care.